Mackenzie Critiques to Mackenzie Dick Razzie Favorite Anime. Welcome to a one-off video, and I'm doing this one-off video because lately I've been engrossed in Persona 5, so anytime I'm not reacting or I don't have the opportunity to react, I'm probably off playing Persona 5, and I'm about 50 hours into it. So I thought what I'd do is a few people on YouTube, but not enough in my opinion, are doing videos about tips and that sort of thing. I want to give my top 10 tips for playing Persona 5, and this is for both beginners and people who are some ways into the game alike. I mean, everyone's got a different experience of playing the game depending on what social links they form, what activities they choose to do, and all the way down to what personas they choose to create. So, but I'll give the top 10 tips that I found in my playthrough that were most useful for, I guess, maximizing my enjoyment, but also maximizing the avenues you could explore in the game. So my number one tip would be, and this is also just to do with fundamental parts of the game as well. So number one will be deadlines. My tips about deadlines, and as I'm sure some of you have discovered who are listening to this is very basic information, but for some people it might actually be really helpful. Whenever you get a mission to take down or steal the heart in a dungeon, you'll realize that sometimes, at least for the people who were doing the first dungeon, you got kicked back a week because you didn't make it in time and you didn't realize about the whole calling card thing, which the game doesn't do a good job of explaining. So my rule would be, give yourself at least a quarter of the time before to finish the infiltration of the treasure. So let's just say you got 8 days. Give yourself 6 days to finish that task of finding your route to the treasure. On the 7th day, you give the calling card, and on the 8th day, or on the 7th day itself, you can go and steal the treasure and take on the boss. But the rule is that as these dungeons get bigger and you get more and more time to do them, leave yourself at least a quarter of the number of days left till your deadline finishes to get that treasure. So if you got 16, you finish that dungeon, find your way to the treasure in 12 days. And if it's even longer, just use that rule for a quarter of the number of days before the deadline to finish it. And I think that works out well because there are some dungeons where not only will you get delayed by the calling card stuff, you may actually get delayed because you have to go out of the metaverse and do something so that something changes within the metaverse so you can proceed forward. And I think that was the case with the third dungeon, or second dungeon, Madarame's dungeon. And this will be a spoiler-filled thing, so that's the number one tip I can give. I think it's the most useful. Number two is Sojiro's coffee. And this is to do with Sojiro's confidence thread throughout the game. Now, it could be easy to overlook Sojiro's confidence tree. You think he's not that important. And obviously, he's not a very likable character early on in the game. You're probably busy off whining and dining An or Ryuji or that kind of thing. But Sojiro is important in that, at least at that stage in the game, he's the only guy that gives you SP healing items, the items that heal your magic points, so you're able to cast magic for longer when you're in those metaverse dungeons. And there's no real way of getting SP back when you're in the metaverse, so you have to leave and a day has to go by before you go in, and that's crucial time, especially if you're running up to the deadline. So maximize Sojiro's confidence link, and you can do this every evening. I think his is the most persistent confidence link that you can actually quickly max out. And what he does is he gives you the ability to make coffee. You're not only learning about coffee trivia, but you're also learning to make coffee. And once you've learned the ability to make coffee, which is I think about 3 stars, I'm not sure, 2 or 3 stars with him, you can at nighttime brew coffee, which passes time, but it will let you restore 30 SP, give you items that restore 30 SP when you use them in battle. So that early on, that's really useful. And he also works in unison with another a confidant, but I'll go on to that later. Number 3, my number 3 tip is Takemi. Now, Takemi, the punk rock doctor, works nearby from LeBlanc, the coffee shop. You'll be introduced to her early if you're kind of roaming the neighborhood around the coffee shack where you live. It's very important to get her up. It's not important to get her up necessarily for the HP items. I mean, you'll find that healing yourself up isn't really an issue early on. The reason you should raise Takemi's, the doctor's social link is at some point down her tree, she'll give you access to SP restoring items. And she'll be an SP, and particularly an item called SP Region 3, which she's got it in 3 tiers, 1, 2, and 3. She'll give you access to accessories which will heal your SP over time. So in battle, you may get a regeneration of 6 SP every turn. So basically, you can go on for longer in those dungeons without leaving with those items. So it pays to maximize Takemi's confidence tree so that you get access to those items. It takes a little while, and then there's certain factors that come into her confidence later on when you need a certain charm stat or certain gut stat. But guts is the most important to raise early on if you want to get access to those items with Takemi. Number 4 is personas, and now we're talking about personas. And the persona Obarion is a persona you can get very early on. And the useful thing about Obarion early on is he's not significant, he's not remarkable by any means, but he has an ability called Lucky Punch, which is the first tier of a group of moves that you can get later on. But he has a move called Lucky Punch inherently, and Lucky Punch basically has a high probability statistic for doing critical damage to an enemy. It doesn't do much damage, but it does high criticals. So now the thing with this is, for enemies that have no weakness, and even enemies who block physical damage, a critical hit will down them. It doesn't matter how much damage it does, it will down those enemies, and that'll give you the opportunity to negotiate with the enemy for items, money, or even recruit that persona. So it's very important for enemies who just have no weakness. And there are certain enemies in some dungeons who legitimately have no weaknesses. Like there's this demonic looking, devil looking guy who has a staff or something. I forgot what it was, but you'll notice that nothing does any damage to them. Even Sai doesn't do damage. The Bufu, all the elemental skills, the light and dark magic don't do anything. But for those moments, Lucky Punch works really well. So if you get the chance to fuse Obarion early on and you see it in Aigo's fusion menu, do be sure to create Obarion because it'll be very useful early on. Number 5 is books. Now, books, I mean, buy up all the books in the bookstore. It can be easy to overlook. These are very easy things to overlook, to just go to the bookstore and buy it. Also, periodically go into the bookstore and buy up books that you don't have. Even if you think, oh man, I don't get much opportunity to read these books apart from on the train, just buy them up because you want to be making sure that you make use of every time, all the time that the game gives to you. So the now and again you'll get the moment to get a seat on the train when you're going to school. Buy up all the books so you can always have a book on tap to read. And also it'll give you the opportunity to max out a certain stat that you may need in the next couple of days, or you're deciding to endeavor down a certain route which requires more charm or guts, and you can read the appropriate book. And once you finish reading these books, they give you, I don't think, any less than, if you're reading a book twice, if you have to get through 2 readings of a book, it'll give you 3 at the end, I think. And if you go through 1, I'm pretty sure it gives you 1 or 2 points to it. But buy up all the books and periodically go check the bookstore for new books, and that's also tied to an achievement and that's a missable achievement. I'd also take out books from the library. Don't worry about returning the library ones, but buy books from the bookstore in Shinjuku. Shibuya or Shinjuku? Shibuya. Buy them in Shibuya. And next tip is number 6. And that's dual bonuses. That's places that give you dual bonuses to stats. I can't stress enough. I'm forgetting a few other places that give you dual bonuses. Some say that I can raise my charm here, but at the same time I might be able to raise my guts. But there's one place in the game where you're guaranteed to raise multiple stats. And that's with the Big Burger Challenge in Shibuya. And there's a burger shop in Shibuya that you can go to in the day or night. It costs 1,500 to do the challenge in the day, but if you go at nighttime in the evening, it costs 500 to do the burger challenge. Now the burger challenge, you can actually complete successfully if you got 2 points to knowledge, 2 points to proficiency, and 2 points to guts. And what that will do is that will give you not only a boost to guts, but it'll also give you, at least in the first go, a single point to each stat except kindness. So on the first tier of that burger challenge, you'll get a single point to each stat except kindness. Then when you do the stage 2 challenge, which requires you have 2 knowledge, 2 proficiency, and 2 guts, it will give you 2 boosts to each of them once you do the challenge, except for the stat kindness. So don't look a gift horse in the mouth. If you got those stats, you leverage them to get an additional 2 points to those stats, and it makes all the difference. You never know what point will push you over to the next level in your stats. So I can't stress enough how important dual bonuses are in the game. Anywhere you get the opportunity to get dual bonuses to stats, use them, because that's the best use of your time. So that was number 6. Number 7 is, if you want to make the most powerful personas, it's in your best interest to raise your confidence level with Igor. And you think it's kind of obtuse to do it? Every time you visit Igor's Velvet Room, he'll talk about things he wants you to do. Even just the act of talking to him might, naturally trigger an upgrade. But with Igor, what you can do is he'll tell you, okay, I want you to make me a certain persona with a certain trait or certain ability. Listen to what he says, because early on it's very easy to do so. So one of the early ones is he wants you to make a Jack Frost, which isn't too hard. He wants you to make a Jack Frost with a evasion ability or something like that. I'm freeballing. I don't actually remember the thing, but make those, and once you make those, it not only increases your confidence with him, but it gives you access to new things like persona fusions, upgrading personas, or locking personas away to upgrade them. So it's very important you don't neglect your confidence link with Igor. And also, I want to add that it's easy. All of his requests are easier done when you register your persona. Every time you get a persona and you maybe level it up a bit more, naturally in the persona register, you can buy back your personas. It doesn't matter if you get rid of them. You can always end up paying 4,000, 5,000 to buy back Arsene, for example, or any persona you've acquired and you've gone into the Velvet Room with. And also, if you decide to level up a persona considerably with new moves and make it inherit it, always register your personas so that you can buy back that particular persona, that particular custom tailored persona. And it also helps when you register so you can buy back persona to fuse the personas that Igor's asked for. The most easy way to get the personas he's talking about is to get those treasure demons, those weird treasure demons that come out of diamonds in Memento dungeons or the main dungeons. Once you get hold of those, they do a lot towards getting personas the abilities you need to inherit. So let's just say the constituent parts of Jack Frost are lantern and some ice. I was about to say ice Pokemon, some ice thing. You can somehow fuse or upgrade that persona, that one constituent persona, with the Emperor treasure demon, and it might give him the ability that you need, that needs to be inherited by Jack Frost. I know I'm getting complicated here, but you need 2 personas to make that third persona Igor wants. One of those personas has to have the ability that Jack Frost has to inherit, which Igor is asking for. You can give that ability to that persona if you use Igor's ability to sacrifice a persona to give a persona a special ability. So usually it's very random. I never used any guides for it. Right now I might need to use a guide because I've taken about 6 requests for personas and I've done them. I'm on Floros right now, for those of you into the game. Just after Floros. So it gets a bit thing, but that's very important. I know I've stressed on this long enough, and it gives you access to a whole bunch of great abilities to fuse even more powerful personas. And trust me, there are many personas in this game. My number 8 tip is training. Now, this might be obvious to some of you, but not obvious to some of you. You can actually train in your room, but they don't tell you can train in your room, and they never draw attention to it. They never draw attention to things in your environment until you're very, very close to them, like you're right up its ass. So at the back of your attic where you live in Sojiro's coffee place upstairs in the attic. Next to your bed is a window right at the back of the room. If you go right up to the back of your room, you'll get an option to train. It's just in between your where you craft your infiltration tools and the bed. Right at the back, when you go there, an X button prompt comes up for training. Now, as long as you train, you can raise your maximum HP for Joker by 5 HP. So you can maybe in one training session, in one training prompt, you can maybe train twice and you can get your max HP up by 10 points. So always use that because you can actually raise your max HP. And there seems to be no other way of raising your max HP apart from equipping accessories that increase your max HP, like plus 10 HP or plus 20 HP. But that will permanently raise your max HP by 5 each time you train. And I think the more you train, the more you can raise. So that's a weird thing that I missed out on. I only realized that recently, that you can actually train in your room. Time passes, but just like crafting tools, you can maybe get 2 or 3 training sessions in depending on your stats. Number 10 is the confidant link Kawakami. Now, this is going to be a spoiler. Kawakami is one of the aloof teachers in school who doesn't really care. She's kind of laziest. You might know her from school. Now, you can obtain her confidence after the second dungeon. And it won't be, I don't think it'll be obvious. You'll get Mishima will tell you about a maid service that you guys want to call up. And you can call them up anytime. I think there's a cutoff, so make sure you do it as soon as possible. You, Ryuji, and Mishima will be talking about calling a maid service who provides exotic services, I guess. And they thought it was too good to be true. So do that mission. Go to Mishima, call up the maid. This will set up a chain of events which leads to the Kawakami she's got a double life. It'll be exposed. You have to help her out in school, outside your classroom, and you'll get access eventually to the maid service she provides. Now, it takes a bit of time to raise her, and she's not very useful early on, but she gives you the opportunity. She gives you the opportunity to go off and do stuff while she does other things for you. So you notice that when you make coffee with Sojiro or do laundry, time passes. That's your in the evening wasted doing those things. You can ring her up from the yellow phone in Cafe LeBlanc. She can make coffee for you and time won't pass. So she can do laundry for you, time won't pass. And you're able to go off in the evening and do something. And when you come back, she'll give you the item that she was making. So she'll give you the SP item for coffee, or she'll give you the curry, or she'll give you the items that you wanted to get laundry done on. And later on in the game, she also gives the opportunity to massage you so that time doesn't pass even when you're going off doing other things. So she'll come and massage you. So when you come back from let's just say you come back from a confidence link in the evening, when you come back, she'll give you a massage so that you're still awake in the evening. So that's a very useful ability. So make sure you get Kawakami her social link or a confidence link as soon as possible. And number 9 is politician. Now there's a politician. I forgot his name, but you'll get access in Station Square to. There's this politician who basically preaching and giving speeches and that kind of thing. To get him, it's really important because it will increase your ability to negotiate with personas in the metaverse. So you can basically hold them up for money, hold them up better for recruitment. You can make them drop better items, drop more items. It's very important that you raise the politician's rank. But there's a certain weird sequence of events where you have to gain work in the beef bowl store, and you have to work there about 2 or 3 times at the beef bowl store. And though you work at the beef bowl store, if you go to the underground walkway and read one of the job employment magazines and apply for the beef bowl store job. Once you get that job, go in one evening to work there, work another evening if you can. By the 3rd evening, you'll get access to the politician. But you would have to speak into the politician beforehand, before getting that job. But that's the complicated part. But I do recommend you get the politician because he's very, very useful. He raises your charm, but he also and charm is a very neglected stat unless you're actually trying to go for the Valentine's or the romance kind of stuff with the female characters. And that's really all I can take. That was number 10. Sorry. Number 9 was Kawakami. Number 10 was the max confidence with a politician. Definitely maxed that out. And those are my 10 top tips for Persona 5. I hope they've been helpful. I wasn't able to provide, appropriate footage because some of the footage would mean that you'd have to go past 7-7, that kind of thing. So I had to get a bunch of footage from wherever I could. It's just general footage in the background while I'm speaking. But I hope that's helped you guys out. If you want any more videos like this, let me know. And peace out, man.